Oh, yeah, this is Adam. I was going to do spoiler warning for this film, which is OHMSS, or On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but being the douchebag that I am, I forgot to record it, so you'll just have to accept this one. You are listening to Diabolical Evil Schemes Done Better, the podcast where four long-suffering friends dissect films' most dastardly schemes, then try to improve. I'm your host, Adam, and this week we shall be competing to improve the villainous scheme of Blofeld on Her Majesty's Secret Service. So, blag that you're an experienced actor and trick two of the most ruthless producers in Hollywood history into giving you your dream job. And let's get diabolical. Welcome to this week's episode and our seasonal James Bond film. We've got a lot to talk about this week, so let's not waste any more time and get straight into the introductions and our opening gambit. This week, I've asked the chaps to create a Bond villain, henchman or big boss, give them a name, a backstory, and their specialisation. And we shall start with Gaz.
Hi, Peril Pals, Gaz here, and I have conjured Le Spider-Man. A lonely, pale boy growing up, a goth, if you will, who's only friends with the spiders who infested the wine cellar of his family farmhouse in the Roussillon countryside. When he barks, spiders come out of his mouth, some poisonous, others just a bit gross and acky. He finds Bond's knowledge of fine wines to be an affront to his superior knowledge as a Frenchman, and so becomes a hitman for hire available to the highest bidder.
You think you'd beat Bond? You got another thing coming?
Spiders? Spiders beat anything.
Yeah. Good point.
The only thing that beats spiders is...
Scissors?
frost.
Or is it rock? Or is it paper? Forget.
A bird. Then you'd have to get a cat to eat the bird, then a dog to eat the cat.
And where's it all end? Chaos. That's where.
You've opened a can of worms, which ironically you'd need the spiders maybe and the birds to eat. Anyway, Ben.
Hello, Panel Pals. Ben here. And my Bond villain is Major General Heather Heavy Artillery. There are only two things Bond respects: tits and rank. And this smoking broad has both in abundance. Dishonourably discharged from the service for the gross mistreatment of POWs and an attempted coup of a small African nation, weapons expert Heavy Artillery will leave 007 feeling more than shell-shocked. Amuse-bouche, Heavy Artillery has been married 4 times and has 25 stepchildren.
Do you think Bond actually respects tits or just like lusts after them?
He respects tits, just not the tits carriers, aka females.
That's why he talks to the breasts and not to the woman.
Yeah. You've never seen him slap a breast?
He stands up and removes his hat when he sees some tits in the room.
Super Dude.
Hi, Parapals, Craig here, also known as Super Dude, and the Bond villain I have come up with is Soufflé. Real name, Susan Flay. He is a member of the Sioux tribe of Native Americans, and he is known for flaying the skin of his victims and for leaving his signature calling card, a perfectly baked souffle, at the scene of the murder. Also, he's well known among other members of Spectre and Smirsh for folding very easily when applied with light pressure. Souffle.
Well, as for me, I've selected to branch off on Blofeld, the brother of Blofeld, separated at birth, sent to 2 different competing evil schools, doesn't have a scar, has a full head of hair, but just as evil. But crucially, he's not a jack of all trades like Blofeld is. His specialist skill is demolitions. He's absolutely obsessed with explosives, so much so that basically everything he owns can detonate in some way. He's like the personification of that show where you have to guess if it's a cake or a real object. Is that corned beef sandwich? No, it's nitroglycerin. Therein, that is how he defeats Bond. He disguises a possession of Bond's to trick him. And his name? Blowjob.
Oh, of course. It makes sense that he would have a similar but distinct surname from his brother.
Yeah.
What are his first two names?
Artemis.
Artemis Blowjob.
Yes. So good they named him twice.
AA Blowjob.
Coming in from the cold, harsh tundra and warming itself by the fireside with a harem of seductive opinions. Yeah, Omer returns, the same but different, and ready to take on some choice films of 1969. You guys know the script by now. Carry on camping.
Yeah, that's when the bra pops off. Boing.
Exactly. I knew Ben would remember that.
I'm going to say, yeah.
Do you know how far that bra flies? They've got it on a string or something. It goes right across the campsite.
It hits the matron guy in the face, doesn't it? Kenneth, what's his name?
He's great.
Yeah, and he loves it. It's either him or Charles Hawtrey, I forget.
Generally, I'm in favour of Carry On as a concept. You know, I think bawdy, seaside comedy, whatever, but I think Kenneth Williams in particular is brilliant.
The Italian Job.
I've never seen it all the way through.
No, I don't think I have either.
No. Good old
Don't think
Michael
so.
Caine.
Nah, I found it dull, except for the bit at the end.
Yeah, I tried to watch it. I caught half of it the other week, and I just, like Ben, I thought this doesn't seem very good.
It's better than the Wahlberg rehash, isn't it? And all
Almost certainly.
Haven't seen that either.
Never seen that
that's
either.
not particularly enjoyable.
Isn't fucking Edward Norton in that?
Oh, yeah, and he was pissing and moaning about it in all the pre-publicity, wasn't he? That was the best part of that.
Was he?
Oh, yeah. He was just saying that the studio forced him to be in it in every press conference.
Oh dear. The Wild Bunch.
Never seen it.
I haven't seen that either.
Never! It's on my list.
I can't remember if I've seen it or not. I think that I might have. Who's in it?
Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland.
Bunch of bloody men.
And last but not least, The Love Bug.
Not Herbie.
Yeah, I think so. I like some of them.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Meh. Shite in it.
Yeah, I think we were probably all forced to watch it as children, weren't we?
It was on every week, that's why.
Yeah.
Probably not the Love Bug, wasn't. I think Herbie Goes Bananas and all those other ones probably were. But the first one I think is decent.
Herbie shits the bed.
Maybe gets an ankle tag.
Herbie Hit and Run, of course.
Very good. Do you have a favourite film from 1969? Why not tell us or demand we dissect it on a future episode? Head to our brand new website, it really is ours, and drop us a digital communication to that effect. What have you got to lose? On Her Majesty's Secret Service was released on the 18th of December 1969. It is the sixth film in the James Bond series, produced by Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli, and directed by Peter Hunt. OHMSS is most notable for being a Bond change of guard, with George Lazenby replacing original stalwart Sean Connery in the role of James Bond for a single outing. The film is based on the 1963 novel of the same name by Ian Fleming. In the story, Bond faces off against his arch nemesis, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, who is planning to hold the world hostage by threatening to sterilize the world's food supply. Bond also falls in love with a woman whom he marries at the end of the film, a rare instance of Bond showing serious emotional attachment. Although it is not commercially successful as other Bond films, taking half the box office gross of its predecessor, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service has since gained a strong reputation amongst fans and critics for its more realistic and emotional portrayal of Bond, as well as for its action sequences, particularly the ski chases in the Swiss Alps. Contemporary filmmaker fans include, but are not limited to, Quentin Tarantino, Guy Ritchie, Steven Soderbergh, and Christopher Nolan, with the latter referencing OHMSS in his films Tenet and Inception. Significantly omitted from that list is the opinions of 4 of the most devilish minds in the universe, yet to be expressed publicly on this film. Those are the minds of the Panel of Peril.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, that's why you had that key.
That's why I had that ready, you see. There was a reason I had that ready.
Very good.
There you go. I just thought it'd be a nice touch. It's fair to say 3/4 of the panel have been derogatory about this film, whereas 1 has been a champion. Some may say apologist or even tallywhacker.
I'd describe myself as a tallywhacker.
So with that in mind, I turn to you, Super Dude, and ask, why have you always loved this Bond film so much? And has this viewing brought any fresh joy or pity? But also, do you predict that is won any of the rest of us over?
Clearly, Ben has not been won over by it, but I think maybe both of the other 2 members of the panel in some degree or another. I think the thing for me that I love about it mainly is probably Diana Rigg. I think she's incredible, just really elevates Bond generally. It's great to see a sort of role reversal in that you get almost, George Lazenby is almost a Bond boy, and Diana Rigg, the original Avenger, is there as kind of the actor with gravitas, carrying the film a bit. That's not to say that I think George Lazenby is bad. I think he acquits himself very well, especially in the tragic final scene. I think he plays that beautifully.
Sorry.
Sean Connery also was a male model prior to playing Bond. I don't see that as a big stumbling block personally. As a changing of the guard, it tries to do something fresh with Bond, something I think they would revisit later on. You get some examples of that great giallo psychedelic lighting in this. You get some attempts to appeal to a younger audience, not completely, but in a way. Fight scenes in particular feel a lot more intense than in the Sean Connery films, and more kind of brutal, but also convincing and slick. I think some of the choices from a first-time director who had been, involved in crew before, but I don't think had directed a film before, at least not that I'm aware of. And I love the Louis Armstrong "We Have All the Time in the World" song. I think I was shocked when I first learned that it was from this film. I think it's maybe the only Bond film where the sung theme tune isn't over the opening credits. It has a great...
it's just a musical number, isn't it?
Yeah, really great instrumental number instead. So for me, I think this is just a really interesting departure for Bond. It feels unique, but also familiar. Telly Savalas as well. I'm a huge fan of Telly Savalas' Blofeld. He, I think, represents a physical threat to Bond in a way that no other Blofeld has. And I think Bruce Timmers even said that he was the prototype for his animated version of Lex Luthor, where he's a formidable physical presence as well as, a psychological villain for Bond. So I really enjoy that about it. And I think, crucially, it's still fun. It still has a lot of that Bond fun element to it. Fewer gadgets, if any.
None, I think, yeah.
Yeah, still the great kind of one-liners.
Radioactive lint.
That's about it, yeah.
So a lot to enjoy for me.
Well, very good. Well, I knew you were a sure bet for this. That's why I came to you first. And I think we shall go for the opinion of Gers next, please.
I would say pretty much the opposite of Super Dude. I did not like George Lazenby's performance at all, particularly when he's in disguise in Blofeld's mountain hideout. The accent that he's putting on grated on me horribly.
That's not him.
It's overdubbed, isn't it?
That's dubbed, yeah.
I thought it didn't match.
Some of it is him, but some of it's dubbed, isn't it? Yeah.
George Baker, who played Inspector Wexford in the the Ruth Rendell Mysteries, and he plays the real Hillary Bray.
Went on to do that sax solo. Is that George Baker? Am I thinking of Jerry Baker?
That's
I think Chet Baker.
Jerry Rafferty, you think?
Right.
George Baker was also one of Ian Fleming's preferred choices to play Bond when Sean Connery was cast, along with David Niven.
But in any case, it kind of makes you wonder what the original performance was if they, quote unquote, improved it with that overdub. I think also he's a bit of an no-go, George Lazenby. Like, he's not got that rugged handsomeness that Shonkers has.
He only looks good from certain angles.
Not even then. He's like a big Easter Island face. Yeah.
Easter Island, God almighty.
Yeah. He's not a good-looking fella, I'm sorry to say. It's a good location up in the Swiss Alps, in Blofeld's hideout, but they're there for far too long for me. It takes an absolute age to move it along, get back down the mountain. It creaks along the plot. I mean, most Bond films are quite flimsy, the plot, but they keep it moving from location to location, and there's variety to spice up your life. But yeah, this doesn't really work for me. And some of the rear projection work, Jesus Christ, it is mental how much that camera is swinging around in the background.
Yeah.
In both the car chase and the ski chase. It's like, what is going on here?
The ski is awful.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
You said ski chase. There are more ski chases in this than any other film. It's so repetitive. It's like they've got no more ideas. What should we put here? Another ski chase? Let's do it. Fucking
At least
hell.
one of them's a luge chase, so wind your neck in.
There's the quote.
Just one final point about the theme tune, as Super Dude mentioned. Yeah, I like the song, but I didn't like it not being over the opening credits. I would have flipped it the other way, have it over the opening credits, and then just a quieter version of the Bond theme over the end, maybe. Because it does that, the quietness after Diana Rigg's character dies, but then just Bond kicks in and completely breaks the mood. It's like, all right, fucking hell.
That was so weird.
That was an awful choice.
Who decided it was going to be that way around?
God knows.
Stupid. But I guess maybe they don't want to go with the original like Bond John Barry theme, did they? Maybe, and thought, oh, we can't do that. We'll have to do something new. And then they just shoehorned that in at the end for some unknown reason. Even though I think the Louis Armstrong song only popped up occasionally as a bit of a motif and a couple of lines here and there throughout the film, and it wasn't really. Yeah, I thought it was really underused. I seem to remember it being used a bit more, but maybe it was just my memory.
The rear projection is not the worst special effect in this. The worst is the very obvious dummy that falls off the cliff and its arms flapping behind it.
That's so good.
No, this rear projection is definitely worse. It's great.
I love that it follows it the entire way down.
Yes,
It's fucking ages.
Let's keep a bit more of that in. It's already a 2.5 hour film. Doesn't matter if we have a bit more of that in.
Oh, sakes. Yeah, I think that's where that joke come from, wasn't it? Where they fall in so long, they have to take another breath to start screaming again.
It could be.
It must be. It's so good.
The other thing that I found quite surprising is Bond taking the knee to do the shoot down the barrel in the opening credits. I was like, what's that all about?
Oh,
He does the turn and he gets down on his knee.
He'd have been shot in the head by then.
Stable a platform and standing on 2 feet.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate it. Take it back, Lazenby. Wipe down that bar at Wetherspoons where you've recently retired from. Take it back.
Right. Dare I ask, Ben?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Gaz. I did go into this trying to enjoy it, and I did find some positives this time, actually. But Lazenby, he just doesn't have the range needed for this film. He needs to be Bond, but then he also needs to go through this quite significant character change. And I just don't think he was able to handle it. And then you've got, like, as we just discussed, some weird decisions, maybe from a first-time director. Maybe the producers were involved, I don't know. But there's the editing in parts is shocking. There are some nasty jump cuts.
Yeah.
The sped-up
Really
footage is
awful.
wild.
Yeah.
And then, as Gaz mentioned, the pacing, there's a huge, like, 1.5 hour sag in the middle. It's like, Come on.
Yeah.
Blofeld's scheme gets like 3 minutes of attention, I think.
Yeah.
Probably.
You do kind of wait for it to be produced.
The love story montage felt forced. They're so deep in love after 3 minutes of all the time in the world playing.
They're not really though, are they? Because he then goes off and shags his international harem of diverse babes.
What a guy. What a guy.
Oh, but then he sees her the next day and it's like, oh, I'm in love. Forgot about that, yeah.
I don't think he's really in love with her until that moment when she comes to rescue him. I think that's when it solidifies for him.
Okay. I think the concept was really good. The fact that they didn't rely on gadgets, I thought was brave. They attempted humour, which would be more effective under Roger Moore. I just don't think Lazenby was able to deliver the lines as well. So I think there were signs of the direction it was moving in. I think they were brave to try quite a few things. And I thought the third act in general was passable. It was quite fun.
Maybe that's Lazenby's lack of confidence in the material. I think he,
maybe,
in particular, thought that Bond was a bit of a misogynist dinosaur, as Judi Dench would later say, and didn't really want to deliver lines like silly stuff like, oh, he's branched off and whatever.
Oh, he delivered that so badly.
Whereas Roger Moore would have fucking loved that one.
Yeah, he'd have been stiff delivering it.
He'd have said it with such confidence, you would have been sure that it was funny, even though it's not.
It's the one where as well where he knocks out one of the guards. He says something to them.
Yeah.
As he's leaving.
Yeah.
But then before he closes the door, he goes, oh, should have wrapped you up as well.
Yeah, it's such an afterthought.
Why?
Yeah, it's weird, that one.
So overall, I give it, it's all right. It's quite all right, really. There are 7 Roger Moore Bond films. And that's out of 007.
Ah, very good, very good. As for me...
You'll see.
Slam your body down.
That's Turner's review.
That's it. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it, but I did. I actually ended up thinking it was a bit of a shame Lazenby didn't get to do another one, or he decided not to do another one and threw his teddies out and basically soured the whole thing with the producers and then turned down a subsequent offer to do a few more films. Because you can see there's promise there, but it's the fact that he's never done anything before and that he completely blagged it and did a really good screen test. He broke a stuntman's nose, didn't he, in a pretend fight.
Just like Connery, hire him.
Yeah, and Harry Saltzman said, you know, you're the one for us or whatever.
Yeah.
And when he eventually told that the director, Peter Hunt, and he was like quiet for like a minute just looking at him, and he says, you fooled 2 of the most ruthless people I've ever met. He says, you're going to be fine. So, and he kind of is. I personally warmed to him quite a bit, and I've watched some of the interviews with him talking about it retrospectively. He said about they had a helicopter, he demanded a helicopter so he could go back down from because they were living up there, and then he demanded a helicopter, so they flew all down. He had all the girls with him, and they flew down to the town below, and and did whatever they were doing at the time and stuff. So
drink some schnapps, no doubt.
Yeah,
out on the piste, out on the bloody piste, weren't they?
Speaking of the piste, I think it's really impressive that they created that avalanche for this, which is not stock footage. They did it with explosives.
Buried a town of locals alive, sadly. The greater good of film.
Was that archive footage of Cubby Broccoli?
Their families were compensated. More than fairly.
Okay. Favourite sequences, and we'll start with Ben.
My favourite sequence is quite early on. It's in the hotel where Draco's men come to take Bond, and someone's talking to Bond, and then another guy just lowers a newspaper to reveal a gun pointing straight at Bond. The old newspaper reveal is class.
Guess what I've got behind this newspaper?
Fucking gun, mate. You didn't see it coming because I was reading a newspaper.
Very good. Super dude.
Straight after that great avalanche stunt sequence where Bond is back in M's office, but before you realise he's peering through the window of M's office, and in the window is the reflection of Tracy being dragged away by Blofeld's henchmen. It was so nice. I really like that.
Yeah, it was a nice little touch, and I thought, they should have done a few more little bits like that, really. It was lovely.
Absolutely. The only other kind of really interesting visual bit, I guess, is apart from the lighting I talked about earlier, right in the opening before you see Bond in the introduction of him, there's a couple of really good like zooms as he's driving the car down the beach into his dimple, his chin dimple. Have a good look at that. Like the close-ups on SpongeBob SquarePants.
Or Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
I saw them referred to as gross-ups in Ren and Stimpy earlier.
Gross-ups. Yeah, that is good.
Oh, yeah.
Quick question. Does Bond always fondle Moneypenny that much? Or is that only in this film? He gets right into it, doesn't he?
Yeah, and do you know what, as well, what I thought was weird was because clearly Lazenby's a man in his 20s, or on the cusp of his 30s or whatever.
Is he? I thought he looked about 70.
Moneypenny is, I'd say, at least 10 years older.
Yeah.
Perhaps more.
Nothing wrong with that.
By the time they get round to more Lois Maxwell, like I said when we did Man with the Golden Gun, it feels like they're kind of abusing her at that point.
And she seems to be like the smartest woman in the world in certain ways. And then she's just letting herself get manhandled all the time and stuff like that. And I was just like, it's weird.
Victim blaming, is it?
Oh no.
You've been cancelled.
Oh, wait a minute. I just heard a vegan burger hit my window. They're out there getting me already. The woke mob have assembled. What have I done?
It's a good job you're a vegan. You can just eat them. You can lick the
I'm going to eat
sauce.
them. I'll be like, throw as many as you like, mate. I love them.
They're going to strip you of your powers like Brandon Routh.
Yeah. Oh, no. That was half and half. Gaz, favourite sequence, please.
I had Bond climbing through the pulley mechanism for the ski lift.
Yeah.
I liked the massive practical cogs that they built, and I also liked the matte painting, which I thought was filmed at a very interesting angle, kind of diagonally from above, to give the illusion of depth. Don't normally see matte paintings used as a downward angle. It's usually sort of going into the background, isn't it? So I just thought that was quite interesting. I didn't really understand the geography of that whole system, like why he was climbing up for ages and then across, but it worked. I enjoyed it.
Very good. As for me, I loved the bit when Bond throws out his teddies and says he's quitting, and he goes to clear out his desk, and he pulls out all his old gizmos and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
that's lovely. In so many ways, this film is a pivot point for the franchise, and that I think there's bits like that enhance that feeling so much as well. It's really good. Love it. Super Dude, favourite line, please.
Thank you, Tracy. You've got sharp eyes and beautiful earlobes.
Very good. Well, I'll get mine out of the way. And it's sold Draco or Draco. What she needs is a man to dominate her, to make love to her enough to make her love him. And I thought, that old chestnut, I mean...
The way to a woman's heart.
Gaz.
My favourite line, and there were so many, were when the hench boy gets squished up in the snow threshing device, whatever that thing is, making the luge tunnel, and Bond quips, he had a lot of guts. Yeah, it's quite good, I suppose.
He has a good booze line. I always like in Bond when he has a new booze line. So, great thing about Casino Royale, he doesn't ask for his martini shaken, not stirred. He asks for that stupid fucking drink, you know, the Vesper, the quinoli with fucking twist of lemon and all that shit.
Yeah.
And the great one in this is when the St. Bernard comes to help him, and he goes, never mind that. Go and get the brandy. 5-star Hennessy, of course.
Yeah. All of your drink culture comes from Bond, doesn't it? Everything you
pretty
know about
much.
alcohol.
Everything I know about booze. Dom Perignon. What's a good year? 57. That's the only
57.
one.
Yeah, 57, I think, yeah.
That's a good year.
Well, we've covered most of the ones on my list, like the gift wrap one. First, he says, when he knocks the guy out, he says, Merry Christmas, like whispers it in a really creepy way, and then walks out and just goes, maybe should have been gift wrapped. So that was on my list. But I'm going to give one to Frau Bunt, Blofeld's hench person. Bond says, I'll be glad to get my feet on the ground. And Frau Bunt says, not ground, ice.
Very Renier Wolfcastle, wouldn't she?
Yeah, very Running Man.
Care for a salmon puff, McBain?
All right.
In On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Blofeld's plot revolves around a scheme to use biological warfare. Blofeld has developed a group of brainwashed women whom he refers to as his angels of death. These women, who have been hypnotized and unaware of their true purpose, are being treated at Blofeld's research institute in the Swiss Alps. The institute is disguised as an allergy research clinic. The core of Blofeld's plan involves using these women to spread a deadly virus capable of rendering plants and animals infertile. Essentially, the virus could cause worldwide agricultural collapse, leading to mass starvation. Blofeld intends to release the virus unless his demands are met. He seeks worldwide recognition of his title as Count de Bleuchamp, a noble title he falsely claims, and also demands amnesty for all his past crimes. Ben, did Blofeld's plan have you breaking out in a rash, or was it a soothing balm to ward off dodgy evil schemes?
Well, often we get good films that have a bit of a flimsy villain plot. This time, we have a bad film that has, I think, an excellent villain plot. And that's pretty smart. Disguising your research facility as an allergy centre and then, working on biological weapons that can sterilise the Earth's agricultural output. I think it's very dastardly. It's very clever. Just a shame it's wasted on this film and not covered enough, as I mentioned earlier. And so Blofeld, for almost getting away with it, but getting his revenge on Bond, gets 10 florets of withering, sterile broccoli. That broccoli will have no children.
Terrible. Terrible. Gaz?
I was quite surprised at the similarities between Blofeld's plan in this film and my plan for Jupiter Ascending. I thought, attacking the planet's crops is...
The crops plan. First we attack his crops.
You saying they took that idea from you? Is that what you're claiming here?
Yeah, retroactively stole it from me.
Fair enough.
Therefore, I can't really criticise it. Does Blofeld, if he's forced to enact this plan, has he got a segment of plan that allows him to maintain a feed supply for himself?
No, he also dies.
He also dies. Yeah, that's a bit of a flaw.
He can eat 12 ladies, but then that's it. He's dead then.
So, yeah, it's a flawed plan, if only for himself.
He can eat 4,400 toffee lollipops.
I don't think that he was thinking they would say no to him because it was so dastardly.
Yeah, that's the thing that gave me pause. They could just call his bluff in that case, couldn't they? They'd be like, oh, you're going to destroy Earth's supply of food, are you? Where do you live, genius? Earth, is it? And he'd be like... And he...
Yeah. I've got 10,000 cans of beans.
He's got a big facility there on top of a mountain, and you don't know the depths of it under the peak. I'm sure he must have like a apocalypse bunker full of beans.
They've got places in the Arctic that keep all frozen samples of plants and stuff, and they so
now they
you
do.
could
They
essentially
didn't
have
back
that.
then.
Oh, I've just checked. Apparently it's blinking, you miss it, but apparently he has got 4,400 cans of London Grill, 18,000 cans of what looks like corned beef. So he's all right.
Okay.
Apart from the scurvy he'll get.
Yeah. Before we go any further, it's been a little quiet on the socials of late, and we're feeling a little won't. Following us on the socials is the best way to keep in touch. Find out about new and exciting promotions, win a pair of our soiled underpants, what it's like to be a member of the Panel of Peril, and even speak to us. Superdude is our active gatekeeper on Elon Musk Vanity Project Twitter, or X if you wish to please the narcissistic edgelord. Musk, that is, not Superdude. We're also available on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So reach out, say hello, and tell us how we should all be millionaires with all the babes we want and living it up in our palace in Europe. Now pay attention, Peril Pals. We've reached that point again. This is the part of the show where we all compete for peril points by offering our own diabolical plans for a chance to be crowned Season 6 Most Diabolical! Blofeld's evil plot is foiled when James Bond infiltrates his mountain lair with the help of Draco and his men, destroys the facility, capturing Blofeld's files and preventing the release of the virus. Little did we know, despite a thrilling bobsleigh sequence, Blofeld escaped, setting up the film's tragic conclusion. However, now forced to live a life on the run, Blofeld cannot realise his dream of a full pardon from the UN and spending the rest of his life as a member of the aristocracy. I believe there are at least two people that can convince us of an alternative plan for Blofeld in which he succeeds. Call me deranged, but I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket. And we'll start with the big egg, Giaz.
Chopping up some onions, baby. Who loves these blooming onions, baby? It's me, I'm Blofeld. That's who you jerk. Now fetch that large crock pot for me. Oh, Mr. Bond, you've caught me. Caught me making a delicious onions, that is. Oh, and you've brought the entire UN Council with you, I see. How terribly, terribly grand of you. Of course, as a gracious host, I must offer you all something to eat. A plate of potatoes, perhaps. A plate of dry unseasoned chicken. Perchance a plate of finest pig's ham. I couldn't possibly offer a plate of onions, as I have yet to cook them. We're not weirdos here, you know, offering a plate of uncooked onions. They shall be cooked first, by gum. I have now listened to the various single food items that you have each requested. For Mr. Bond, some juicy rump steak. For the UN Council, a big old plate of juicy rump steaks. That's it. Eat it up. Eat it all. That's it. And there's plenty more where that came from, you can be sure of that. Yes, plenty of delicious red meats. You'd like a nice glass of red wine and Ribena to wash it down, would you? I'm afraid I only have white. Yes, that's right, Mr. Bond. Little do you know that red meats are the #1 cause of sterilization among adult males and females. Yes, that's right, UN Council. That means you too. And naturally, red wine offsets the effects of red meats and is good for the heart. But I only have white. Anyway, back to my guests. Did you all hear me just now privately confiding my evil scheme to myself? You did? How terribly, terribly grand. Then I shan't repeat myself. You will find the doors quite locked at this point. Those ones where you have to pull the handle of the door up first and are quite impossible to escape from. I shall force feed you rump steak every day, chased down by lashings of white wine, unless you give me amnesty for all my prior crimes and recognise me, Blofeld, as the current Count de Bleuchamp. What's it to be? I know which I would prefer. Oh, additionally, as I only became aware of the extent of my own goal this morning, I shall lower a giant Tommy Tippy dome all over the crops and activate the steaming mechanism to sterilise all of those and that. And you won't be able to get out and stop it because of the aforementioned locks. Also, I do have a gun, you know. So, I wrote most of the plan before I'd watched the final part of the film and actually knew what his plan was. So when you said sterilization, I just assumed that he meant he was threatening to sterilize Bond in the UN. And then I was like, oh, fuck.
And Super Dude, can we hear your plan, please?
Imagine that as a villain plan for a film. The hero's afraid of getting sterilised.
It's Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me.
Yeah.
Ow, my sperm! Do it again. It doesn't hurt that time.
Why was Bond there with the UN Council in tow?
To confront Blofeld in a slightly different...
Yeah, for any kind of international incident like this, all the members of the UN, all the representatives go with the secret intelligence agent to the...
That's what they call a UN assembly.
Exactly.
UN members, assemble!
Apparently that is true about red meats, though. That's why eventually they're bad for you, eating too much of them.
So as long as you have a nice cheeky glass of wine when you go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Even though that's fucking a glass of red wine is equally as bad for you.
No, because they cancel each other out. So you take a glass of red wine, the kind that's plastic with a lid on, to McDonald's drive-thru, have a burger, rip the lid off the wine. Ooh, you're all right then. Ooh.
What happens if your beef has been cooked in red wine?
Oh.
That's why they do it, because it neutralises it.
Delicious.
Interesting. Tell you what's nice is lasagna made with red wine sauce.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say pig's ham. Yeah, I like pig's ham.
Okay. Any more questions for Gez?
No, it's mental. Just write that down in your notebooks, guys. Although the one part that I did find plausible is those fucking doors that you lift the handle at first. You're not getting out of them bad boys.
Oh, yeah.
No, horrible.
Can't shoulder barge your way out of them or beat your way through.
That is diabolical, isn't it? Yeah. Right. Super Dude, please.
Bond is deep, deep, deep undercover as Sir Hillary Bray. Able to imitate his voice exactly, encyclopedically well-versed in heraldry and genealogy, and capable of convincing a bevy of international beauties that he has no interest in girls. Blofeld, however, sees through this easily. Still, he's intrigued and decides to see how far 007 is willing to go with this charade or charade. As James sups with the girls, Blofeld approaches, keen to sup himself. A test of Bond's grasp of genealogy and etymological prowess is in order, as well as his ability to charm and deceive. A test, in the end, of his balls. Tell me, Sir Hillary, are you familiar with the origin of the family name Bleuchamp? He asks, sucking seductively on a lollipop. Bond takes a breath, ready to respond, when he does a double take at the sight of the candy treat lodged in Blofeld's cheek, tunneling towards his mouth hole like a sexy mole, before breaching with a wet pop. You've guessed it, Sir Hillary. My ancestors were champion blowers. Blow champs. Of glass, perhaps? Suggests Bond. Glass, alpine horns, gazing at Bond's kilt. Bagpipes, among other things. Bond adjusts his collar, sweating. Come, Mr. Bray, surely I'm not making you uncomfortable. Loath to break cover, Bond plays along, enduring hours of physical torture and ecstasy, until he dies of dehydration a few days later, leaving Blofeld free to pursue the real Bray. Blofeld tracks Bray down at a gentleman's club in Soho and works him like a whistle pop. Who loves you, baby? He asks between slurps. Before long, Bray signs a deed ratifying Blofeld's legitimacy as the Count de Bleuchamp, and the UN has no choice but to pardon him for all past and future crimes, until such time as they can kill him and make it look like an accident. Any voices of dissent within the Special Council will be treated to the old lefty cappuccino. To celebrate their newfound nobility, Blofeld and Bray co-jack, by which I mean they jack it together. Few subtle references to co-jack in there. I don't know if you noticed what they were.
Oh, what? Really? Brilliant.
Yeah.
And so why were the UN forced to pardon him? Just because he was sucking them all off?
No, because he's a count. But if any of them did raise voices of dissent and said, we can't pardon him just because he's a count, before they even get to the end of the sentence, they're being sucked off.
If you thought he was going to be pardoned for being a count, wouldn't you just focused on that in the first place instead of the whole sterilisation gambit?
Yeah, that is what happens in my version. He's got the girls there for some other reason. We don't know what it is.
Maybe they're teaching him how to suck.
Maybe it's just for his own pleasure. Because he's not gay. He's just doing this to see how far Bond will take it.
And as we know, Bond will go all the way.
Yeah, how far Bond will take it ends up being to the point past his own demise, and then Blofeld keeps going.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Originally, the phrase Blofeld tracks Bray down at a gentleman's club in Soho and works him like a whistle pop. Originally, that was works him like a corn cob. But I wanted to tie a few more lolly references in.
Oh, those whistle ones that you
Yeah,
get.
used to get in the chemist, yeah. Yeah. Didn't last very long, did they?
No.
Too delicious. Too
Yeah.
delicious.
Do you reckon they were inspired by Toot Sweets from Chitty Titty Bang Bang?
Toot sweets. Toot sweets.
Never seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I assume you're going to force me to watch it.
Now I am.
What? So we're all going to have to come up with 4 different ways of being a paedophile.
Yeah.
It'll be our prestige episode.
That's pretty easy.
Instead of a flying car, I'll just get a van. There you go. Have one.
Van and some chloroform.
Add a bit of extra grease to your hair and you're done.
Any further questions for Super Dude?
We could say his plan sucks.
I'll just remind you at this stage, I don't think any plan involving fellatio has ever lost an episode so far. So, just track record for you.
Onto a wiener already. Right, in that case, Ben, can we have your, hopefully, a bit more, well, a bit less begging this time?
I've doubled down. Listen up, men. The year is 1969 and the word diversity is yet to be used outside of biology class. Male representation at the UN is a healthy 90+%, so get your knickers on and make me a thick Scotch broth. Blofeld has everything he needs to get what he wants. He deploys his sexually attractive angels of death, but he's rebranded them angels of lust. You see, he has hypnotized them to return to their countries to start a sexy affair with their local UN representative. As the angels are so undeniably foxy, this is no problem whatsoever. After coitus, these mini-skirted minxes have been conditioned to play a hypnotic recording to their lovers as they sleep.
Listen to my voice, only my voice, for it is the voice of reason, the voice of wisdom, the voice of truth. You seek peace, do you not? You long for order in this chaotic world. You desire justice, and justice shall be yours. You need only to acknowledge, to recognize that which is already ordained. The true heir, the rightful Count de Bleuchamp, Ernst Stavro Blofeld. Yes, that's it. Allow the truth to settle deep within your mind. Feel the warmth of clarity, the comfort of acceptance. And with this truth comes a simple request, a pardon for past misunderstandings. For what are they but mere trifles in the grand scheme of progress? Now as you listen, your thoughts become my thoughts. Your desires become my desires. All that you seek, all that you strive for, will be achieved with the simple words, Count de Bleuchamp, we recognize you. Say it now, in your mind. Let it echo. Count de Bleuchamp, we recognize you. Count de Bleuchamp, we recognize you.
And job is a good one. How does he deal with Bond? Why, he's already dispatched Joanna Lumley with an extra special tape. Bond will be locked up for indecent exposure by week's end.
What was the last bit?
Well, he still needs to deal with Bond, right? So how does he do that? He sends Joanna Lumley, who is the English girl in the movie.
Where is she? That's Joanna Lumley.
She's in it. She's in it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not the main one, not the one he talks to. She doesn't have any lines.
No.
Huh.
And he sends her with a tape to hypnotize him, and he's locked up for indecent exposure by the end of the week.
Okay.
Look at me, I'm a famous historian, out of my way. So the UN, though, don't really have the power to declare him Count Bleuchamp, do they?
They can speed things along. They're very senior political figures. They can speed things along, no worries.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll stop worrying about that then.
He could change his name by Depolo to Count de Bleuchamp, can't he?
He was the official title.
Yeah.
And he's doing this for the official title. That's what he asks for. He asks the UN for those two things.
You can buy a title in Britain, can't you? You can buy a title of Baron.
Not really. You can buy a fake title. You
He
can
could have
buy
bought
like
the one Chris Eubank bought.
Yeah, that's not a real title though. It's like a bullshit one. Like he's a land baron. It's not like a real title.
But you can still use it though, can't you? As like a...
You can say that it's your name,
Have
but
it
you're
on
not
your
actually.
credit card.
Yeah.
You can have a credit card saying Baron Ben Steinson.
If you pay.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
I think it's only about 20 quid or something like that, isn't it? It's not expensive.
50, yeah.
There's more. There's other ones that cost like $2,000 upwards, and that was years ago. And that's proper titles.
Yeah, but they're still bullshit. If you pay like a few $100,000, you can get like a lesser title, but
Just give a donation to the government, and they'll give you a peerage. So,
those aren't the same either. So like Knights of the honours list, they're not really like a title either.
I'll get a cheap Baron title and put the certificate next to all the land I own on the moon. So I've got about 3 square acres. I'm fucking minted.
okay, so essentially using his tried and tested brainwashing method.
Exactly. He's got this great method. Go ahead and keep using it, baby.
Has he brainwashed the girls, the honey trap girls, so he's brainwashed them to trick the other people, and then he's brainwashing more people?
What?
They're honey traps, aren't they, essentially?
Yeah, so in the film, he sends them away, right, with a package, and that's the biological weapon. But this time, it's a special tape player. And so they're programmed that after coitus, they when the lovers sleep in, they're programmed to turn on this tape player. But they don't remember it. That's the beauty. Just like the biological weapon.
So it's brainwashing dominoes. Yeah.
Yeah. Pringles, if you like.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. If there are no further questions for Ben...
I can't even concentrate. All I can think about is that fucking hypnosis music. I think anything you'd have said in that, you should have said, vote for me, because while I was listening to it.
Well, I was thinking, I thought I should have said vote for me. And
you see, if I started listening to like a relaxation tape and it was playing that music, I'd just turn it straight off or download something, and it had that music. I'd be like, nope, fuck off.
Yeah, but you're already asleep when you're hearing this. That's the point.
Yeah, it might wake me up because I'll be that agitated.
Nah, you won't. They never do. Never do.
It would me. I'll be like, not these fucking relaxation tapes. Right, anyway, my plan. Let's just get this over and done with, and we can all go to bed. Despite Blofeld being numero 1 on the hit list of numerous countries, there's no doubt the guy clearly has talent and that he could be put to good use. There must be one country that doesn't care what anyone else thinks or says. To that even suggest that that country is a bit of a shit would have you assassinated, your government destabilised and overthrown in a coup. In a field of one, the United States government truly is in a field of one. Heck, they've even employed Nazis for Christ's sake. Blofeld is a choir boy compared to him. A choir boy! Blofeld reaches out and gives them a little taste of what he can offer. Not just genetic modification, but loads of other evil shit too. Satellites, secret nuclear warheads, underground bases, etc., etc. And cats. Lots of lovely, strokeable catses. Basically, Blofeld can be their bogeyman. When things are going a little too well, perhaps the masses are thinking certain wars are inhumane, or that certain ethnic minorities deserve equal rights. Pow! Along comes international terrorism and that sneaky Spectre organisation to throw a spanner in the works. Never can find his leader. A real threat to freedom, them. Let's all concentrate on that instead. Blofeld promises he'll continue to innovate and produce more horrible things to dazzle and delight his hosts with, but to terrify the world and keep America at the top of the global police force. All he asks in return is that he can live in Aspen, Colorado, in a big mansion and pretend to be a member of the European aristocracy for a laugh. LBJ can pop in for a brew whenever he likes, and Tricky Dicky Nixon will definitely not say he's a crook. Blofeld doesn't need a UN pardon, just one from the country who literally doesn't give a fuck about anybody else.
Wow. Really went to town there, didn't you?
That was a party political broadcast by the Adam Party.
The views expressed probably do represent all the views of the Diabolical podcast.
Luckily, we were all made a pact not to vote for commies, so no one vote for Adam.
McCarthyism strikes again, doesn't it?
Better dead than red, my friend.
Oh, no, it's the other way around.
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption. So there you go. So he fucks off the UN and says, "No, I'm going for the real power in the world."
Why do we think that the UN has more integrity than America? Why couldn't you just do this with the whole of the UN?
With UN, they make rulings all the time and go, "Oh, this is terrible. Oh, absolutely terrible." And then what happens? Nothing.
Just a bleeding knocking shop, innit? The old UN.
That's it. They can say what they want. 100 countries can vote against something, but then if the 8 biggest go, no, the 100 other countries don't matter.
Mickey Mouse outfit.
Under closer examination, those plans were absolutely, positively, undeniably diabolical. So in summary, we had Gaz's Onion Steak Odyssey, Super Dude's Fellatio Funfest, Ben's Honey Trap Brainwashing Hijinks, or my Screw the UN plan.
Listen though, Super Dude's Fellatio Funfest. Is it too late to change the name of the podcast?
That can be the spin-off. We're going to go a deep dive. It's Super Dude's
Going to save us a
Fellatio
fortune in SEO.
But there can only be 1, 2, 3, or 4 people that go home with some points today. So can we all cast our votes, please? Super Dude, please can you reveal who you voted for?
Yes, I have voted for what I believe is an actually very intelligent and good plan. And that is 007 you, Adam.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, and on that note, I shall reveal that I have voted for Ben.
Oh.
Just an expansion on the original plot, which wasn't too bad, I suppose. Ben, can you reveal who you voted for, please?
Well, the way to my heart is through my dingalonga. So I voted for Super Dude.
Very good. And Gaz, could you please reveal who you voted for?
Well, I also voted for Super Dude's Bleuchamp Fun Fact.
Whee!
He's back. He never went away.
Blowjob. So, how has that shockwave of scoring affected the diabolical leaderboard, Gaz?
Bigly affected this season 6 leaderboard. Because in joint first place, we have Gaz, Ben, Adam, and
What?
Super Dude with 7
Oh my God.
points each.
No
Holy
way!
shit.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Fuck off! That's got to be a first.
Well, listen,
think so.
don't worry, guys. It's still all to play for. It's still anyone's game. What we've done here, Peril Pals, is we've made every episode of the season prior to this one redundant. So just go back and erase your memories of those episodes.
Smash up your phones to house these episodes.
Buy a new one, ready for next week. Because that's when it's going to heat up.
Okie dokie. And it is Gaz picking next week's film. What will we be watching, Gaz?
Next week, we're going to be watching a childhood favourite of mine as we return to a favourite actor of ours. We're going for a Keanu Reeves film, a sci-fi adventure of the highest order, as we view Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh my God. One of the few Keanu Reeves films I'm yet to see.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. It's been a long time since I saw it.
What's it called? Johnny Electronic?
Johnny Mnemonic.
Mnemonic. It's got a silent M at the start. Mnemonic.
John Mnemonic. Dominic Mnemonic. Is that what it's called?
Yes, that's the one.
Right. I'll look it up.
Johnny Mnemonic it is. Be sure to tune into that. And that about wraps things up for another week. We are, of course, available across all the socials on @DiabolicalPod, so why not talk back at us? Maybe suggest a film you'd like us to cover. You never know, you might even get a reply. Until next week, dear friends, this never happened to the other fellow. We have all
The time in the world, time enough for
I can't remember the
life
rest.
to unfold all the precious things love has in store.
It's quite all right. It's quite all right, really.
Oh, hi, Louis. How are you doing? Ah, fine, love. How are you? Not bad, you know. What have you had for your breakfast? Oh, the marmalade sandwich. Oh, marmalade. I love marmalade, me. Shredded or shredless?
Shredded. Oh, well, if that's all we have.
It's Artemis Trevor Masakisto blowjob. ATM blowjob, essentially.
What are you doing, Craig? Surprised
What's that?
every 2 seconds.
What was that?
Craig's pulling this surprise face every 2 seconds.
Gaz. Oh, he's gone. We'll have Ben then.
I'll do Gaz's line for him. My favourite line was when James Bond says, the name's Bond. James Bond.
Controversial pick. Some people might say that's a bit racist, but you're part of the woke mob, so on your own back, be it.
I do not deny it.
Why is Gaz Allen Bennett?
I've made up a favourite line, and basically it's right at the end.
You've made it up.
I made up a favourite line. This is what should have happened at the end. And it's after Tracy's been shot and the policeman's coming up, and I imagine the policeman sticking her head down and going, I'm here to arrest you for necking on with a corpse.